Minimalists.
I've been simplifying other aspects of my personal life. I really want to be able to carry this over within my business practices as a portrait photographer. Something that I've always struggled with is keeping my pricing uncomplicated while still providing myself with the opportunity for potential additional profits that allow me to sustain a quality of life that I desire. It seems that almost everything you see or read out there with regards to marketing and sales advice these days are all about the potential upsell. So to do this within this industry, you generally create different packages, tiers, or add-ons, and this is how you make it happen. But I feel that this starts to overwhelm my clients, and honestly, it kind of overwhelms myself as well. So the easiest thing for me to do would be to give people what they want and in an easy fashion. And with probably 90% of clients wanting digitals, charging a fee for my time, artistic skills, and then the digital seems like the logical way to go. But this shoot and burn tactic, as the photography industry lovingly calls it, can make it really hard to sustain a profit because many of my clients, they just don't understand the value of these digital files to us as a photographer. It's basically my original piece of art. They are what I invest my most of my time on, and once the client receives these files, they have the option for endless usage and printing rights for their personal use. So what I would need to charge in order to allow myself a sustainable quality of life, I would probably cause some serious sticker shock to most and probably lose a lot of clients. So I guess what I'm asking is, do you have any suggestions with how to simplify this sales process for me and still allow myself to make a profit?
I think ultimately, if I were to rephrase Tammy's question here, is as a business or a business owner, how do I simplify my pricing in the best way so that I'm making an income and also I'm adding value to the people around me? And she talked about some ways with upsells and add-ons. We in the corporate world back in the cell phone days, Ryan, we used to call them bolt-ons. And in fact, Ryan and I were in charge of measuring every single day, twice a day, these 29 metrics that our stores were performing on. And so we always had something to beat our employees up with because they could be doing really well in 28, and it'd be like, how dare you not sell this product?
How dare only 20% of your new accounts have text messaging on it?
Right.
It should be more like 50%.
Shouldn't it be 100% now?
I mean, I guess now. Yeah, now it should be.
Back in the day, this is before text messaging.
Well, I think there's something else going on here with Tammy too. Is she is, as a photographer, and especially in this digital world, it is it's very hard to keep your own artistic creations to yourself. Right. So I think there's a little bit of that going on. I mean, what I would say when it comes to the intellectual property, if I went to a photographer, so I'm looking at it from the customer standpoint. If I went to a photographer and I asked them to take some portraits of me,
which you have done. I mean, we do as the Minimalists.
Right. So they take the picture of me. I paid them to have the picture. They send me the digitals. Those are my digitals that I paid the photographer to create for me. Right. And now if the photographer wants to use, my portrait in a portfolio or just to display what she's capable of doing, great. Or he, but ultimately that photographer doesn't own that. That photographer can't sell my face to McDonald's and say, "Oh yeah, I got a great picture of a person here that would look great for this campaign that you're looking to do." Right. And I think maybe there's a little bit of that going on. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think sometimes we're very precious. Everything is precious to us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about your old business, right? Yeah. One of the reasons you didn't want to let it go is because I built this and it is precious to me. Well, and then when something becomes too precious, that to me is a sign that I need to maybe not let go, but at least loosen my grip a little bit.
That's an interesting point. It's very minimalist to think that you should let that go, that's a sign that you should let go. Whereas you're right. One of the hardest things of letting go with the old business is, but what about all those recordings of my voice? as far as I know, I kind of have an unlimited reserve of the ability to talk. And if you ask my wife, she'll confirm that, right? So, like, what's the big deal? Those things happen in the past. If you're an NBA player and you play a game and you're watching a replay of that game on ESPN 17 or whatever, are you like, that's mine?
Yeah.
No, you're like, that's a thing that happened,
point.
now it's over.
Yeah.
And so the word complex, the root of that word is complex, and it means to bind two things together.
Didn't know that.
And so right now, what she's saying is a lot of photographers, they complex their businesses. They make it more complex by having a complex pricing structure. Yeah. And if you want to, the opposite of complex is singular, simplify. And if you just want, I mean, to me as a customer, let's talk about this, Ryan. So actually the people we started our coffee shop with, Joshua and Sarah Weaver, are two really talented photographers. That's how we met them. They did the photos for all of our books. Mm-hmm. And so when we brought them out to do some photos, they were talking about opening this coffee shop. They were both working for like these digital marketing agencies,
Sure.
And they were like, we're kind of burnt out on this. We want to do our own thing, showcase our own creativity in a different way. And we built a really great relationship with them because they came out to take some photos of us for some books, and we quickly became friends. So you'll also learn that whatever you're doing might lead to something else when you're building these relationships with clients. They'll lead to referrals and everything else. But we went to them and they came to us with a price. Here is your price. If you want some photos, you can use them for whatever you want, for books, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to say yes or no to that price.
Right.
And they felt like they were getting what they deserved. I mean, they may have felt like their photography is worth millions of dollars. I don't
Sure.
know.
Right.
But the market dictated, here's the price. We're really great photographers. We're going to come out and we're going to do this for 2 days. Here's what we're going to charge you.
Yeah, I think really what you're laying out here, Josh, is that the photographer is very aware of what the subject is going to do with the photos, and there's an agreement worked out between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I've got 5 things written down here. I mean, when it comes specifically to the pricing model, like you can basically charge, you can do whatever pricing model you want. If you're adding value to your subjects and your work is outstanding, like that's really what's important, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter like what you're charging or what your pricing model looks like. I mean, with Sarah and Josh specifically, it's like we went to them because we wanted their creativity because we knew of their work. Mm-hmm. And the pricing was I mean, it's important. It's something to consider, but we weren't just shopping price.
Right.
So
and so if you're just focused on price, it's going to be a race to the bottom. And,
yes.
You don't want those clients.
And if you're
Right.
and if you're advertising price, it's a race to the bottom.
And so I think quite often, if you simplify the pricing structure, if you remove this complexity, I mean, one way that we used to do it in the corporate world, if people do want choices, they don't want unlimited choices, though. There's a reason if you walk into a IKEA, you feel really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so they want, a good, better, best, perhaps.
Right, which is a great approach.
Yeah, and so you can lay out, well, here are the 3 pricing tiers, here's what you get for that, or maybe you can just go to a client and say, here's what I charge. Here's and it includes all of this stuff. I'm not going to give you any add-ons, bolt-ons, whatever. Mm-hmm. Here's what I include in my service.
Yeah, and that's really the second point that I wrote down. As long as your clients understand exactly what your pricing includes. Again, it doesn't. If you do a good, better, best, and let's say that is totally, not the norm in the photography world. That's okay. You can do it differently as long as your clients, the people coming to you, know exactly what you're charging and what they're getting for what you're charging. The worst thing, she talks about the bolt-ons and the upsells and stuff. Nothing pisses me off more.
Oh, I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
no. I mean, nothing pisses me off more when I go to buy something and they're like, oh yeah, you wanted to take this home with you. Well, the taking it home charge, I got to charge you an extra $50.
Exactly.
I mean, that's never a good customer experience, man.
Yeah, having the convenience fee when you buy tickets.
Oh, it's
Right.
so irritating. As a business owner, I have photos taken all the time. If you're like, hey, I'm $150 and another person's like, I'm $350, let's say for some reason the work looks similar to me. I will still go, well, wait a minute. If the $150 photographer is like, oh, but then I have to come to you and I charge per mile, so that's going to end up being $47. And then, oh, you want to use it commercially? Okay, so that's an additional $100. If I start having to stack the math together, and then the $350 person's like, oh, you live 20 miles away? Not a problem. Yeah, you want the whole day? That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got to bring an assistant. That I will pay him $50, so I'll charge you $50. Fine. But if I start having to go, let me get the calculator out, and I'm going, oh, it's kind of this, that. I don't want to screw with the person who's going to save me $50, but then maybe there's this other thing I'm not expecting later. I'll just pay for the person who told me the one price or the two prices, because I just don't care enough. You don't want clients that are going to split hairs over $15,
No.
or even $150 if they're going to pay you $2,000.
Yeah.
Just charge me the full amount. I've paid photographers $5,000. I've paid photographers $150. There's a difference in quality, but if we ignore that, fine. I still want the guy who's going to go, yeah, you're getting 100 photos. They're all retouched. The end.
Yeah.
I don't want someone who's like, each photo's $20. What if I want more than that?
Yeah.
Just simple. There's something to be said for the client understanding exactly what they're getting, and that is worth money.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
I think you can differentiate yourself not by being the cheapest. I mean, that's one way to differentiate yourself, but you're going to
way to
get
do
the
it.
cheap clients
Right.
too.
Yeah.
And the way, and maybe it's fine to do that up front. You can do free portfolio work up front, but that's not where Tammy is at this point.
No.
You can build a portfolio, and you can go out of your way to do a bunch of stuff for free to add value to people, which is going to build up your clientele, referrals, etc. long term. Ryan and I, the 99% of what we do and 99% of what you do, Jordan, is free.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, we make money elsewhere, whether it's selling books or we have Patreon, etc. But what the way we differentiate ourselves isn't by being cheaper. We differentiate ourselves by being better or simpler, and I think that's what Tammy can do here. Differentiate yourself not by being cheaper. Differentiate yourself by being better and simpler than your competition.